I'm really excited about today's interview. Today we have Mr. Johnny Hernandez. He is a 4th degree black belt. He was ranked in the top 20 in 1987 in the World Karate Association, or by the World Karate Association. His ranking was number 13 in the world. And he's done something that's really, really remarkable. And we've checked into it. He was the first person ever in history to participate in a MMA fight. And this MMA fight was illegal, but it was like almost 30 years ago, and or 32 years ago. And it happened in 1978. And it's the only one documented in history in the 70s. And as we all know, MMA became very popular in the mid-90s, and maybe the first fight happened in the late 80s, early 90s. But I want to welcome a good friend of mine and a fellow martial artist, Mr. Johnny Hernandez. Welcome to the show, Johnny.
Thank you
for having
me.
All right. I have a few questions for you. First of all, I asked this everybody we have on the show. All of them have something to do with the martial arts. And the first question I ask is, what inspired you to get into martial arts?
Well, growing up in the late 60s, they were coming out with the James Bond movies and movies that had martial arts in it. And so it looked really neat to the type of fighting and the style of fighting. And then the Green Hornet was also on TV, and watched that also. So that got me, thought that'd be neat to learn how to fight like that and train and something different to actually say that I knew how to do it by training.
Right. The Green Hornet had that sidekick or the
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, Kato.
Mr. Bruce Lee.
Right. And in the mid 60s, wrestling and boxing was very popular, but you never seen anything where there were flips, throws, jump kicks, aerial kicks, drop kicks, sweeps, karate punches and chops. You never seen that until the James Bond movies come out, and Bruce Lee started making his movies and playing in Kato, the show, Green Hornet as Kato. Okay, and that got you started. Now, what I'd like to know is, what style did you go into? What was your first style of training?
Well, I'm an Army brat at the time, and I used to work out at the sports arena gym at Fort Sam Houston, here in San Antonio. And a friend of mine's dad was a black belt in Taekwondo, a small statured man, American Indian, and his name was Mr. Judd, and his son was Tom Judd, and they invited me to come out and train with them, and that's how it all started. I'd go to the gym on the weekends, and his style was Korean Taekwondo, and he had been stationed there and gotten his black belt after being 2 years in Korea in the military.
Great. And what was your age?
I was 19 when I started.
19 when you started. Great. Now, getting back to this, you being the first person, like the patriarch of MMA, all right? I'd like you to tell us who was the participant. I hear he was a street fighter and a boxer, and you did strictly Taekwondo or martial arts. And we'd like you to tell us the whole story from the beginning about how this came about in 1978, actually about 20 to 25 years before there was any what we call today cage fighting or mixed martial arts fighting. Give us the whole scoop. Give us the story. I'm sure our viewing audience would love to hear.
I'm going to give you a condensed version leading up to it. Back in the late 70s, the graffiti days of the nightclubs, and on Sundays they would have special happy hour drink hours. And I talked to one of the owners of the clubs to do martial arts exhibitions on Sunday for something to draw people in. So we did a few of those in the Sunday afternoon and did some forms and some self-defense moves and a little bit of sparring. And so that's how that came about, from this person, his name's Bobby Thomas, that started talking, well, in a way, bad-mouthing karate is not this and that and the other, and so it was more like a challenge verbally. And I said, well, you know, if you want to go a few rounds, you know, on a Sunday, we can do that. You train and I'll train, and we'll do it, you know. And so it went from there to it was going to be a backyard type
Barbecue, beer.
Right. Some of the good fellas come and watch you guys
Go at it.
fight. And so the next thing I know, there was a gentleman by the name of Sam Kendrick that had the Action magazine here in San Antonio, and he called me up. And he says, "Hey, why don't you hold off your fight that you're going to have, because it was just about to happen, and there's a fair in Fredericksburg, and World's Fair, and we could, if you hold off, it's going to be July the 12th, 78 at the time, and we'll put up a tent, and a ring, and seats, and you can be one of the events, and you can have the fight there." And I said, well, doesn't matter to me. It gives me 2 more weeks to train, because I really was training, running, and sparring, and doing everything to get ready for this, because I really wanted to make sure I came up on top, so you had to be ready mentally and physically. So anyway, that's how the fight became taken and was put at the fair. And so on a Sunday afternoon, it was like very warm day. I show up in my Winnebago with my little entourage, and all these people are there, and thinking it's going to be something like they're all intrigued about a lot of people that know the two personalities. So they brought their kids and family type event, and they're all there ready for the fight. And finally we get going, and so as you see the pictures, the still pictures of the people, they're all in awe, because a lot of them, because they're actually thinking maybe it's going to be like a wrestling type, you know, just putting on a good show. But then when they actually see that we're really hitting and pounding and going for real, that this wasn't just a show, it was for real.
An actual fight.
A real fight, yes.
Elbows, punches.
Yes.
I heard Bobby, your opponent, was wearing riot gloves, lead-filled riot gloves.
Well, I was told before the fight, actually there was a purse that we fought for, was for $5,000.
Okay.
And we actually bet each other, against each other. So I put my $5,000, the sock, and he had put his $5,000. And the individual warned me and told me that, hey, the Bobby was wearing some black leather gloves, police riot gloves that had powdered lead in them. And I'll never forget that day, because he looked at me and goes, well, what are you going to do? And I just sat there and kind of, and there on my entourage is like, you know, waiting to see what I'm going to say. And I go, well, I'm just going to go fight. You know, that's all I could say.
Right.
I'm just going to go
Exactly.
do fight. I'm not backing out, because I'm going to just.
Yeah. Well, since then, I've seen Bobby, and I've seen the interview on the news. They Channel 5, was it?
5.
Channel 5 interviewed him and stuff, and on this fight just recently. And Bobby said that his downfall was putting the riot gloves on, because after 3 or 4 punches, they weighed a pound and a half. After 3 or 4 punches, he couldn't hold his arms up, and so I guess what he wanted was having those riot gloves. If he landed one punch, it would knock an elephant out. I mean, they're police riot gloves. They're made to back fist somebody, punch somebody, and they stay down. Which
well, actually, that did occur. He did get the shot he was looking for early in the fight.
yeah,
Actually, it was a cheap shot, and he dropped me pretty good. And I've been hit before in football and karate, and have one of my ears ringing. But when he
punched you,
caught me right between the eyes, both of my ears were ringing, and my equilibrium, and I went down. And,
someone pick up the phone.
But the answer the phone, yeah.
Someone answer the phone.
But,
I hear it ringing.
What happened though is, if you were the rules, which were hardly any rules, we were doing Queensberry rules, which means you keep fighting any way you want. But if a person got knocked down, he had 30 seconds to get up.
Right.
If they didn't get up, they lost the fight. So when he stunned me and I went down, he pursued me. So there was very little refereeing, but the actual person to protect, as being the referee, pulled him off me, and they gave me extra time to get my senses. And so that made the difference. And from there on, I was a little apprehensive and fought not together, right? And I stayed away from him. So as time went on,
You let those gloves
that
wear 'em
became his
down.
demise, as he said. It was something couldn't hardly hold his hands up to protect himself. So,
Exactly.
So rather than knock him out, the fight actually lasted 45 minutes in this heat, and rather than knock him out, he was really only a threat the first 5 to 6 minutes. So instead of knocking him out when I could have earlier, I did
Carried
the
him.
Oriental form of torture to him. I just humiliated him and knocked him down. They said they lost count after 18 times of me knocking him down.
Okay, this fight is in the middle of July in Texas, in the heart of Texas. And it's got to be every bit in that tent. It's got to be 100 degrees.
At least 100
At least
plus.
100 plus. Johnny knocked him down 18 times, and the fight went 45 minutes nonstop. The guy had to get up within 30 seconds. He knocked him down. That's 18 times at 30 seconds on the ground and got back up. And they quit counting after 18.
Yes.
So go ahead and continue.
So anyway, as time went on, I also was feeling the heat and getting exhausted, so I went ahead and
Time to put him to sleep? Or-
yeah, I caught him with an uppercut, and he went up and down, and that was it. That was in
End
the
of the
fight.
fight.
And
What did you feel when that arm went up and you're like, I mean, it was like, what? What was it like?
well, it's
Did you feel like saying, Adrian?
Adrian. I look like Rocky after getting hit with those gloves, because it really wasn't a one-sided. Anyone that
Yeah.
that has seen or will see the DVD of the fight, it's definitely wasn't a one-sided affair.
Right.
And I took my hits, but I had puffed up eyes and my cheeks, and but from conditioning and mental, that just took me through it and walked through his punches
Right.
towards the end.
And so you're 62 years old. Here's a uniform. This is his first gi top. It's 40 years old, and it used to be black. It used to be this color, this color. Now it is like almost white, or just a gray. So Johnny, this was a great interview. We want to have you back on the show. That was great, and congratulations on the first. Johnny was the first MMA fighter in the history of the world, and he won.
And lived to talk about it.
And lived to talk about it. He's got all the pictures and everything. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me on the show.